The dinner rush at vespertine has a rhythm I've learned to predict. 8 o'clock, the tables fill with expense accounts and stolen glances. 9 o'clock, the wine loosens tongues. 10 o'clock, I'm invisible again, exactly how I prefer it. I've worked as a server at this downtown restaurant for 2 years, and I've mastered the art of seeing without being seen. It's a skill that keeps tips high and complications low. Most nights I drift through the dining room like a ghost, refilling glasses and collecting empty plates, my mind already calculating rent and next semester's tuition. Tonight feels different. I can sense it before I see it. The energy shifts around table 7 like a sudden drop in temperature. The 4 men who arrive at 9:47 p.m. bring something with them, not just presence but weight. Power radiating off them in waves so tangible I feel my shoulders tense as I approach with water glasses. I keep my eyes down, professional, untouched, but my gaze catches on him anyway. He sits at the head of the table, and even without looking directly, I feel him the way you feel the sun before you see it, this overwhelming force of nature that demands recognition. Dark suit, darker eyes, features carved like he was made in a moment of deliberate precision. He's not the oldest of the group, but he's unmistakably in command. The other 3 defer to him with subtle nods, the way planets orbit without question. Water, he says, his voice low and absolute. It's not a request, it's a law, of course. I reply, keeping my voice level as I pour. My hand doesn't shake, years of practice. But something inside me does. Some primal awareness that recognizes danger the way prey recognizes a predator. I try to leave, but he speaks again. Your name. I turn back. His eyes meet mine for the first time, and the air between us becomes a living thing, electric, suffocating, impossible to ignore. Sienna. I say, because lying would be obvious and obvious is dangerous. Sienna. He repeats as if tasting the word, as if it means something. Bring us the chef's selection. Tell him it's for Dominic Caruso. The name lands like a stone in still water. I know that name. Everyone in this city knows that name, though most people know it the way you know about things you pretend not to know. Whispered in dark corners, mentioned with careful fear, erased from conversation when police walk past. Dominic Caruso is the kind of name that appears in police reports filed away and forgotten, in court cases that mysteriously get dismissed, in the nervous glances of men who've crossed him. I nod, say nothing, and escape to the kitchen. My manager, Vincent, barely glances up when I relay the order, but his jaw tightens. He knows the name too. Everyone knows. The next 2 hours blur into a careful dance. I serve them with the same professional distance I offer every table, but I'm hyper-aware of Dominic in a way that makes my skin feel too tight. He barely speaks during the meal, but the other men hang on his silence like it's profound. Occasionally, his eyes track me across the room, assessing, calculating, seeing something in me that makes my stomach clench. It's nearly midnight when I notice her. At first, it's just a detail from the corner of my eye, a girl, barely 18, moving through the restaurant with the jerky, panicked movements of a frightened animal. She's dressed too nicely in a way that doesn't fit, and she keeps glancing toward the kitchen like it's an exit. Like it's escape. There's a man with her. Tall, with cold eyes and a hand on her elbow that looks possessive rather than protective. She flinches when he touches her. My instinct screams. Without thinking about it, I move toward the bathroom, the empty hallway behind the kitchen where cameras have a convenient blind spot Vincent never bothered to fix. The girl follows a moment later alone. I slip inside after her. She looks up, terror flickering across her face before recognition doesn't come, because we've never met, but she sees safety in another woman, and I can work with that. We have maybe 30 seconds. I whisper. Who are you? Why are you here? Her lip trembles. He bought me from a house in. Her voice breaks. She starts again faster. I need to leave. I need to call someone. Anyone. My mind races. This is massive. This is dangerous. This is exactly the kind of thing that ends with bodies in the harbor. Okay? I breathe. Okay. I pull out my phone. But what I really need is a way to alert someone who can actually help. Someone powerful enough that the man with the cold eyes wouldn't dare retaliate. Someone who makes other predators nervous. The insanity of what I'm about to do floods through me, but the girl is shaking, and I'm out of time. I grab a pen from my apron and scribble on the back of a receipt, my hands moving faster than my better judgment. The note is short, direct, desperate. There's a human trafficking situation at table 7. The girl in the gray dress, she's being moved tonight. Please, your server, Sienna. I hand it to her. There's a man out there. Dangerous man. But his kind of dangerous might be the only thing that stops theirs. I'm going to leave this on his table. You go back out there, act normal, give me 5 minutes, then go to the restroom in the back near the kitchen. There's a delivery door that's always unlocked. You don't even know me, she whispers. I know you're scared. That's enough. My heart hammers as I return to the dining room. Dominic is finishing his dessert, his companions lost in conversation. I clear the adjacent table, move deliberately close, and let the note slip from my hand onto his plate as I collect it. I don't wait to see his reaction. I can't. But as I turn away, his voice stops me cold. Sienna. I freeze. Turn back. Those dark eyes are no longer distant. They're focused on me with laser precision, and in them, I see the moment he reads what I've written. I see the shift, the flicker of something dangerous and alive awakening behind them. That's a serious accusation, he says quietly. Yes. I manage certain. Yes. The other men have gone silent. The restaurant has narrowed down to just this moment, just these eyes, just the question of whether I've just saved a girl or signed my own death warrant. Dominic sets down his napkin with deliberate care. He stands slowly, every movement controlled, lethal grace. Leave, he says to his men. Handle the usual business. I'll call when I need you. Then he turns to me, and the intensity of his attention is like being caught in the focus of a flame. You just made yourself my problem, Sienna. He walks toward the back of the restaurant, toward the bathroom, toward the girl. And I realize with absolute certainty that nothing in my life will ever be the same. I don't see what happens after Dominic disappears into the back hallway. I'm too busy trying to breathe, trying to look normal for the remaining guests while my entire nervous system vibrates with adrenaline and terror. 5 minutes pass like hours. Then Dominic emerges from the kitchen, his suit immaculate, his expression unrateable. The girl is gone. The man with the cold eyes is nowhere to be found. It's as if they evaporated, leaving behind only the smell of expensive cologne and the ghost of danger. Dominic returns to his table and signals for me. My legs move before my brain catches up. I approach like I'm walking toward an execution. Finish your shift, he says, not looking at me. Then you're coming with me. It wasn't a request, Sienna. His companions have returned, as if summoned by some invisible signal. They exchange glances and I catch the tail end of a conversation that pauses the moment I'm within earshot. The Russo situation. Handled. He won't be a problem anymore. My stomach drops. I don't ask what handled means. I don't want to know what happened to the man with the cold eyes. Some knowledge is a liability and I'm already drowning in problems. The rest of my shift passes in a blur of mechanical movements. I serve drinks, clear plates, smile when I should smile. My coworkers don't notice anything is wrong, though Vincent gives me a long look when I'm not watching. He knows something happened. He just doesn't know what. At 1:47 a.m., I clock out with trembling fingers. I've changed out of my uniform into jeans and a sweater. Nothing that marks me as anyone's possession. Though as I walk through the kitchen, I realize that's already happened. I am marked. By a single note, I've become someone's property. Dominic is waiting by a black town car parked outside Vespertine. The driver is already in place, and Dominic holds the back door open with an ease that suggests this is an invitation, not a command. But we both know the difference between an invitation and a demand when the person issuing it has the power to enforce it. I get in the car. The interior smells like leather and money. There's a bottle of water in the cup holder, as if Dominic anticipated that I might be thirsty or parched with fear. I don't touch it, you knew. I say, my voice steadier than I feel. Before I left that note, you knew something was wrong. Dominic is turned toward the window, his profile sharp against the city lights passing outside. When he speaks, his voice is quiet, almost contemplative. I know everything that happens in this city. Everything. But what you did. He turns to face me. That took either remarkable courage or remarkable stupidity. I'm still determining which. Does it matter? It might. The car moves through the dark streets, and I realize we're heading away from downtown, toward the old money neighborhoods where houses sit behind wrought iron gates and privacy is purchased with blood and silence. My phone buzzes. My mother, probably, wondering why I'm not responding to her 11 o'clock text about weekend plans. A normal mother with a normal daughter living a normal life. That daughter is gone. The girl, I say. She, safe, Dominic interrupts. She's in a facility run by people I trust. She'll have documents, an education fund, and the option to disappear completely if she wants. The system failed her. I won't. Something shifts in my chest at that. Some compartment I keep carefully sealed opens just enough to let in a drop of something dangerous. Compassion. Or worse. Understand you. I ask no one. Everyone. The daughter of a man who wronged me 10 years ago. Fate, perhaps. An obligation I didn't know I was carrying until someone brave enough or stupid enough to care forced me to acknowledge it. His eyes lock on mine, and in them I see something that terrifies me more than any gun could. I see a man who doesn't follow rules because he makes them, and who collects debts the way other people collect fine art. You've placed yourself in a very specific position, he continues. You know something. You've proven yourself willing to take risks. You've also proven you have a moral compass that's theoretically incompatible with my world. That makes you either my greatest asset or my gravest liability. So what now? My voice cracks slightly. You keep me. I keep you close until I decide which you are. The car pulls through gates so tall and ornate they look like the entrance to another world. The house beyond them defies the night sky. It's a mansion, all golden light and elegant architecture, built on money that was earned in ways people don't discuss at charity galas. The driver opens my door, and I step out into a night that smells like money and secrets. Dominic takes my arm, not roughly, but with the absolute certainty that I won't resist. We walk up marble steps into an entrance hall where crystal chandeliers cast everything in sharp relief, and every surface gleams with the kind of expensive emptiness that speaks of a man who doesn't come home for warmth. You'll stay in the East Wing, he says. There are guards. For your safety, not your containment. Though I realize those might feel like the same thing right now. Why would you protect me after I? Because you did it for her, not for recognition. You didn't ask for reward. You didn't negotiate. You just acted. He pauses at the base of a grand staircase. That kind of integrity is rare. It's also infectious. I need to be careful it doesn't compromise my judgment. We climb stairs that seem endless. The house unfolds around us like a maze designed by someone with both unlimited funds and serious emotional distance from human connection. At a heavy wooden door, Dominic stops. There's a phone on the nightstand. He says, "It has one number programmed. Mine. You need anything, you call. You try to leave, you won't make it past the gates. Not because I'll stop you, but because my men will. And they're far less sentimental than I am about such things. Am I a prisoner? You're a guest," he says, and opens the door to reveal a bedroom that's larger than my apartment, with a view of the city lights stretching out like a sea of stars. Just a guest who can't leave. He closes the door, and I'm alone in a gilded cage of my own making. I sink onto the edge of the bed, a California king that probably costs more than I earn in a year, and wait for the panic to hit. But what comes instead is stranger, a peculiar awareness that somewhere in this massive house, a man who controls empires is thinking about me. That I've somehow become significant enough to warrant his attention, his protection, his time. That terrifies me more than any threat ever could. Because if there's one thing I've learned in the last few hours, it's that getting close to Dominic Caruso is like touching a flame and expecting not to burn. The only question is, how badly will it hurt when the fire consumes me? I don't sleep. I lie on a bed that feels like clouds and watch the city lights flicker through floor to ceiling windows, my mind churning through impossible questions with no answers. 8:03 a.m. I hear music. It drifts up from somewhere below, classical piano, something with melancholy built into every note. Chopin maybe, or something equally devastating. The kind of music people play when they need to feel something instead of think about it. Against every instinct screaming that this is a bad idea, I get out of bed. The hallway is silent and dimly lit. The guards Dominic mentioned are positioned discreetly at the corners, and they don't stop me as I follow the sound. Either Dominic told them to let me roam, or they're testing to see where my loyalty lies. Both possibilities are equally unsettling. The music grows louder as I descend a servant's staircase I find tucked behind a gallery wall. My feet are bare and the marble cold against my skin as I move toward the source. The corridor opens into a library, a massive room lined with books and lit by a single chandelier, and the glow from a fireplace where flames leap like they're alive. And there, at a black piano that looks like it belongs in a concert hall, is Dominic. He's still in his suit, but his jacket is off, his sleeves rolled up to the elbows. His fingers move over the keys with a precision that borders on violent, pulling emotions from the instrument that shouldn't be possible. It's Rachmaninoff, I realize, something dark and yearning. He doesn't acknowledge my presence, but his playing changes slightly, becomes softer, more vulnerable. It's like watching someone's internal landscape rendered in sound. I should leave. Every sane part of me is screaming to leave. I walk closer instead. When the final notes fade, he sits in silence for a long moment before speaking without turning around. "You should be sleeping. So should you," I say. He laughs, a real laugh, not the controlled sound he makes in public. Sleep is a luxury I gave up years ago. The cost of building an empire is eternal wakefulness. He finally turns on the bench, and in the firelight he looks different. Younger, haunted. Like the weight of everything he's built is visible in the set of his shoulders. "Come here," he says. I obey before I can think better of it. I'm aware that this is a line, and crossing it means something. Everything means something when you're in a room alone with a man like Dominic Caruso. "Sit," he instructs, gesturing to the bench. I sit at the opposite end, creating distance between us that feels simultaneously too large and too small. "Do you play?" he asks. "No. That's a shame. Music is the only language that doesn't lie." He flexes his fingers, and for a moment they look young, a boy's hands before they learn to hurt people. My mother wanted me to be a concert pianist. She said I had the hands for it, the sensitivity. Then my father died, and I became the head of the family. The hands changed. The sensitivity became a liability. I don't ask what happened to his mother. I'm afraid of the answer. "Do you miss it?" I ask instead. "That version of yourself, every day." He turns back to the piano and plays something short and achingly beautiful, a fragment of memory rendered in notes. But he's dead. The boy who wanted to be a pianist died the day I made my first kill. I'm what came after. What had to come after. The casual way he mentions killing doesn't frighten me the way it should. Instead, it makes him seem more real, stripped of the mythology, standing in the firelight as just a man carrying unbearable weight. "Why did you bring me here?" I ask quietly. Really. Not the lie about needing to know what I am. The truth. He's quiet for so long I think he won't answer. But then he does. Because when you looked at that girl you saw a human being worth saving. You didn't see a complication or a liability. You didn't weigh costs and benefits. You just acted. He turns to face me. I haven't seen that in anyone in so long that I forgot it was possible. I needed to know if it was real, or if you were just a very good actress playing a role. And now you know. Now I know you're either the bravest person I've ever met, or the most self-destructive. The line is thinner than people realize. He reaches out slowly, giving me time to move away. His hand settles on my cheek, his thumb tracing my jawline with surprising gentleness. I can't let you go, Sienna. Not because I'm keeping you captive, but because letting you go means you become a liability to everyone around you. You know too much. You matter to me, which means you're a target. My breath catches as his hand moves to my throat, not choking, just feeling the pulse there, proof of my racing heartbeat, proof that this is affecting me. I'm gonna protect you, he says, his voice dropping lower. Whether you like it or not. Whether it destroys what's left of my humanity or not. That's my choice. You don't get to decide that anymore. It should feel like a threat. Instead, it feels like a promise, dark and binding. Don't do this. I whisper, though I don't pull away from his touch. Don't make me matter to you. It's not too late. He leans in slowly and I should move, should create distance, should remember that this man controls criminals and disposes of people who become inconvenient. But what I do instead is let him kiss me. It's not tender. It's not gentle. It's a kiss that tastes like whiskey and loss and the full weight of his need to possess something. Anything that isn't tainted by the empire he's built. It's a kiss that says you're mine now, and instead of fighting it, I find myself responding with an intensity that matches his own. When he pulls away, his forehead rests against mine. This was a mistake, he murmurs. Probably. I agree, my voice shaking. Do you want me to let you go? The answer rises in my throat before I can stop it. No. He closes his eyes and for a moment, I see the full weight of what comes next. The complications, the danger, the way my life has just fundamentally transformed. Then he pulls me against his chest, one hand in my hair, the other at the small of my back, holding me like I'm the only thing preventing him from falling into an abyss. Then we're both damned, he says into my hair, and there's no coming back from this. We sit in front of the fire, and the piano sits silent beside us, a monument to the boy he used to be. The next morning, everything changes. I wake in Dominic's bed. When I fell asleep, I don't remember. But at some point in the night, we made our way upstairs together. He's gone, though the pillow beside me still holds the impression of his head. Through the windows, the city is already alive and pushing toward noon. There's a knock at the door, and a woman in her 50s enters without waiting for an answer. She's dressed impeccably, with steel gray hair pulled back in a severe bun, and she carries an expression of total professional detachment. Mr. Caruso requests your presence in his study, she says. There are clothes laid out. Breakfast will be served once you're ready. I find the clothes arranged on a velvet bench at the foot of the bed. Designer jeans and a cream-colored silk blouse that fits like it was made for me. The woman, who introduces herself as Eleanor and claims to be Dominic's household manager, waits while I dress and steers me toward a marble bathroom where she's already prepared everything I might need. I'm acutely aware that I'm being packaged, prepared, presented. That I've moved from guest to something else entirely. The study is on the second floor, all dark wood and leather, and Dominic is on the phone when I enter. He's in his element here, commanding, controlled, deadly. Whatever conversation is happening on the other end involves money or murder, probably both. When he sees me, something flickers across his face, possession, satisfaction, something that looks almost like tenderness before it's buried beneath layers of business. I have to call you back, he says, and disconnects without waiting for a response. Come here, he says, and when I do, he pulls me into his lap as if this is normal, as if I haven't been in his home for 12 hours. How are you feeling? Confused. Terrified. Like I'm in a movie about someone else's life. That's healthy. He kisses my temple. You're smart to be afraid. Fear keeps you alive. What's happening? I ask. Beyond the obvious. Something's wrong. I can feel it. His jaw tightens, which tells me everything I need to know. The Russo family is asking questions about last night. They want to know why one of their men disappeared from a restaurant without explanation, and they want to know who was responsible. And I prompt when he doesn't continue, and nothing, because I haven't decided what to tell them yet. If I claim him, I go to war. If I deny it, they'll think he betrayed them, and they'll spend months looking for him, which creates complications for both of us. What do you want to do? He pulls back slightly to look at me. Historically, I'd eliminate the question entirely. But you've complicated things. The Russos know you were working the restaurant. They'll assume you saw something. They might assume you have information. My stomach twists. I'm a liability. You're a target, he corrects. But you're my target, which means anything that moves against you moves against me. And the Russos aren't stupid enough to do that. Yet, before I can respond, there's a commotion downstairs. Raised voices, and then the sound of something heavy being moved. Dominic is on his feet instantly, pulling me with him. The library doors bang open, and two of his men enter supporting a third, a man bleeding from a gunshot wound in his shoulder. Ambush in the warehouse district. One of them says, breathing hard. Team C got hit. They're saying Russo soldiers. 4 of ours down. At least 6 of theirs. Dominic's entire body hardens into something that looks human but isn't. This is the man who makes empires. This is the predator. Get him to the clinic. Call Doc Mercer. He's already moving toward the weapons cabinet hidden behind a portrait. Mobilize security. Full lockdown on the compound. No one in or out without my direct authorization. The men move with brutal efficiency, and suddenly the entire house is a machine of violence in preparation. Stay in my room. Dominic says to me, his voice absolute. Lock the door. Don't let anyone in except Eleanor. Where are you going? To remind the Russos why they should fear the dark. He's already moving, already becoming the version of himself that I saw in glimpses but haven't witnessed in full. The man who built an empire through blood and strategy and absolute ruthlessness. Dominic, wait. He turns back, and the look he gives me is complicated. Hunger and tenderness and something darker layered together like Russian dolls. This is the part of my world you don't get to see. He says quietly. The part that makes it impossible for you to ever leave. Once I do this, once you know what I'm truly capable of, leaving becomes a death sentence. You'll know too much. I already know what you're capable of, I say. You showed me last night when you killed that man for trafficking a girl. This is just amplified. He crosses the distance between us in 3 strides and kisses me like he's memorizing the taste, the texture, the feel of me. Like this might be goodbye. I'll come back, he says against my lips. And when I do, we're gonna have a conversation about what your life looks like from this moment forward. Because you can't stay in this house forever, Sienna, and I can't let you go. So we're gonna have to find a third option. Then he's gone, and I'm left standing in the library listening to the sound of men preparing for war. Eleanor appears moments later with a tray of food that I can't possibly eat. She settles me in Dominic's room, our room, I realize with a start, and locks the door from the outside. The look she gives me isn't unkind, but it's clear I'm a prisoner now, regardless of what Dominic has promised. I move to the window and watch cars pull away from the compound. Armed men sliding into vehicles with the grace of people who've done this 1,000 times. I watch Dominic's car disappear into the city, carrying him toward blood and violence and the enforcement of his will. And I realize with absolute horror that I'm not afraid he won't come back. I'm terrified that he will. Because whatever happens next, whatever war he's starting, I'm going to be complicit. Not because I helped him, but because I love him. And love, I'm learning, is the most dangerous weapon anyone can wield. 8 hours pass with no communication. I pace the length of Dominic's bedroom like an animal in a cage, checking my phone every minute, even though I know nothing will appear. The gun violence plays out on the news. There are reports of a shootout in the warehouse district, multiple casualties, bodies being removed in the early evening. They don't mention names or confirm identities, but every report feels like an arrow pointing directly at Dominic. Eleanor brings dinner. I ignore it. She returns with tea, and I drink it because I need something to do with my hands. The sun sets over the city in shades of orange and red, blood colors, I think absurdly, and I'm still alone. It's nearly midnight when I hear the elevator. Dominic emerges in the bedroom doorway with blood on his hands and shirt, and for a moment, I can't tell if it's his. Then he moves, and I see that he's fine, that he moves with predatory grace despite the exhaustion etched into his features. Oh my God, I breathe, and then I'm moving without thinking, pulling his shirt away from his body to check for wounds. Are you hurt? He says, his voice rough. None of it is mine. I should be horrified. Instead, I feel relief so intense it's almost violent. He's alive. That's what matters. Nothing else. He moves toward the bathroom, stripping clothes as he goes, and I follow. I watch him stand under a shower hot enough that steam rises in clouds, and I watch the water run pink and then clear. When he emerges, wrapped in a towel, he looks younger and more broken than before. 42 of them, he says without preamble. Russo soldiers, we got 42 of them, and they got 6 of mine. The math isn't great, but the message is clear. Don't touch what's mine. Is this about the girl? I ask. From the restaurant. No. This is about you. He settles onto the bed with the exhaustion of someone who's spent years in violence, and pulls me against him so that I'm half in his lap. Russo found out about the note. Found out that a server at Vespertine contacted me about his trafficking operation. Decided to move on you before I could move first. They were planning to grab you, use you as leverage. My blood chills. How do you know that? Because I have sources everywhere. Because I pay people very well to tell me things before they become emergencies. And because I'm very good at extracting information from people who are motivated to lie. I don't ask what extraction entails. I don't want to know. So what now? I whisper. Now there's a war, he says flatly. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. It started tonight. And you're the prize both sides are fighting for. I didn't ask for this. I know. That's what makes it worse. He pulls away to look at me, and his eyes are ancient, older than someone his age should be. You have a choice, Sienna. One choice. You can stay with me, and I will protect you with everything I have, and you will spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, or you can leave, right now. Tonight, I'll arrange documents, money, a new name. You can disappear completely, and I promise you that you'll be safe. But you can never come back. If you leave, we're done. Forever. The choice should be simple. The sane choice screams at me to run, to take his money and his forged documents and the new name and disappear into the American heartland where nobody knows the Caruso name. But looking at him, at the man beneath the monster, at the boy who wanted to be a concert pianist, at the man who saved a girl he didn't know because it was the right thing to do, I realized that running would destroy him. And more terrifying than that, I'm not sure I want to run. What if I don't want either? I ask. Then you're not thinking clearly. No, I say. I'm thinking very clearly for the first time in my life. What if I stay but not as a hostage? What if I stay as, I don't know. As someone who chooses to be here. Someone who could leave but doesn't. He's quiet for a long moment. You don't understand what you're choosing. I understand that I could disappear tonight and by next week you'd have moved on. Found someone new. Built new walls. I touch his face, tracing the line of his jaw. But I'm staying because I think you need someone to stay. Someone who looks at the blood on your hands and doesn't flinch. Someone who sees you, all of you, and chooses to be here anyway. Sienna. I'm staying because I'm terrified and you're the only thing that makes sense. I kiss him, tasting exhaustion and whiskey and something like hope. Teach me how to survive in your world. Teach me how to be dangerous. But don't ask me to leave. He pulls me closer, kissing me like I've given him something he didn't know he needed. When he finally breaks away, his forehead rests against mine. I'm gonna ruin you, he says. Everything about this is gonna hurt you. I know, and you're staying anyway. I'm staying anyway. He carries me to the bed, and this time when we come together, it's not just passion or possession. It's a vow. It's me signing away my soul and him accepting the terms. It's the moment everything becomes real and irreversible. Afterward, as he sleeps, I lie awake and understand that I've crossed a line from which there's no return. I am his now, in every sense that matters, and he is mine. The war is just beginning. 3 weeks pass like 3 minutes. I learn the rules of Dominic's world through immersion and instruction. His man Victor, a massive Russian with a scarred face and surprising gentleness in his eyes, teaches me basic self-defense and weapons handling. I learn to shoot with a steadiness that surprises both of us. I learn the layout of the compound, the protocols, the careful way everyone moves around Dominic like planets in orbit. I learn that love in a war zone looks different than love anywhere else. It's desperate and intense and tinged with the constant awareness that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. The war with the Russos continues to escalate. Every few days, there are reports. Attacks on his warehouses. Hits on his men. Money freezing in accounts as Russo allies press government pressure. It's a slow strangulation, and I watch Dominic grow thinner as he strategizes late into the night. Making calls that decide whether men live or die. One night as we lie tangled together in the dark, he tells me something he shouldn't. There's a mole, he says. Someone in my organization feeding Russo information. That's how they keep hitting us accurately. That's how they've taken down our shipments. They know our movements before we make them. Who? That's the problem. I don't know, and I can't find them, which means there's someone I trust, someone close enough to me that the normal channels of investigation don't work. I don't say anything. There's nothing to say. But I feel the weight of it, the paranoia that must be consuming him, the way it must feel to have betrayal burrowing from the inside out. We're planning something, he continues. A major consolidation. We're gonna move everything, all our assets, all our people. Shift our center of operations 3 states over. It's gonna take months. But once we're repositioned, we'll have the advantage. We can hit them before they know they're under attack. I listen, and I commit it to memory, and I don't question why he's telling me things that could get us both killed if they become public. The next morning, Eleanor tells me there's a visitor. A woman. She's waiting in the parlor. When I descend the stairs, I find her immediately. She's petite, with dark hair and eyes that assess me with something sharp. She's dressed like money, understated wealth that whispers rather than shouts. Sienna, she says, standing to greet me. I'm Marcella Russo. My family has been asking for a meeting with Dominic for weeks. He's refusing to come, so I came instead. I'm hoping you might help convince him that talking to me is in both our interests. My blood turns to ice. He's not here. I say automatically. He's always here around this time, she says softly. I've had you both watched for weeks. Every pattern, every routine, every moment you spend together. She smiles and it's kind, which is somehow worse than cruelty. You must care about him very much. That's the only reason I can imagine you'd stay in a gilded cage. I don't know what you want. I want you to tell him to meet with my father. One conversation, that's all we're asking. If he agrees, the war stops. All of it. The attacks, the posturing, everything ends, and we come to an agreement like reasonable businessmen. If he wanted to negotiate, he would. He might want to, if he understood the alternative. Marcella moves closer and I see the weapon in her eyes. We've decided to burn it all down. His warehouses, his businesses, his people, and we're gonna do it slowly so that he has time to understand every consequence. But more importantly, we're going to take what he loves. She pulls something from her purse, a photograph. It's me. Sleeping in Dominic's bed. Another of me at the compound's gate. Another of me training with Victor. My hands shake as I take them. The point, Marcella says gently, is that your existence has made you a liability for him. But it's also made you useful to us. So here's the offer: you help us, and he lives. He might lose everything else, but he lives, and he'll eventually understand that you saved his life. Or he refuses to meet, and we take you and everything changes. I stare at her, understanding in that moment the machinery of this world. It's not just violence. It's not just strategy. It's the exploitation of love, the weaponization of attachment, the way humans will negotiate away their souls for the right person. What do you want me to do? I hear myself say, just tell him to meet with us. Tomorrow night, the pier at the harbor, midnight. Alone. That's all. I nod and she hands me her card, heavy cream stock with a single number. When he agrees, text me. And Sienna. She touches my arm gently. I hope he survives this. I truly do. You seem to make him happy and he deserves that. She leaves and I'm standing in the parlor holding photographs of myself like evidence at a trial. By the time Dominic comes home that evening, I've rehearsed the lie 1,000 times. But when I see him, when I feel the weight of his attention settle on me, I can't make the words come out right. There was a visitor. I start. He goes still. Everything about him becomes predatory, a hunter recognizing the scent of blood. Ooh, Marcella Russo. They want to meet. She said if you agree the war ends. I watch his face, watch him process this information. I see the moment he calculates whether this is genuine or another trap. Did she threaten you? His voice is dangerously quiet. I should lie. This is the moment to lie to protect him, to pretend that Marcella was kind and reasonable and made no threats. But I can't. She showed me pictures of us. She had us followed. She said they would take me if you don't meet with them. The silence that follows is absolute. When? He says finally. Tomorrow night, midnight, the pier. He moves away from me, toward the window, and in his reflection I see the moment everything shifts. The moment he understands that loving me is a vulnerability they've found and weaponized. I have to go, he says. You know that. I know. And I probably won't come back. My throat closes. Dominic. It's okay. He says, and when he turns to face me, he looks hollow. You did what you had to do. You were right to tell me. But now we both know the truth. Loving you is going to cost me everything. He walks past me toward his study, and I follow, my heart shattering. Let me come with you. I beg. No, you stay here. You stay safe. And if I don't come back, you take the exit papers that are in the safe and you disappear. Do you understand me? Don't make me choose between my life and yours. You already did, he says, not unkindly. The moment you let me love you. He closes the study door and I'm left standing in the hallway, understanding that love in his world is just another casualty of war. I don't sleep. I sit in the library and play the Rachmaninoff piece Dominic played the night we first kissed. Over and over. My hands fumbling through chords because the muscle memory isn't there. Because I'm trying to play music I can't possibly understand. Around 2 in the morning, I make a decision that feels like insanity. I find Victor in the security office and tell him I need to use a secure phone. He doesn't question me, his job is to protect, not to judge, and he leads me to a room with walls that block all transmission. I call the number Marcella gave me. I was wondering when you'd do this. She says when she hears my voice. He's strong. He would have gone to the pier ready to die, but you care about him too much to let that happen. I want to make a deal. I say, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. Dominic, for me. Take me instead. If I'm gone, I'm not a lever anymore. If I'm gone, he has no reason to be reckless. Oh, Sienna. If only it were that simple. She sounds genuinely sad. You're valuable because he loves you. If we take you, he becomes desperate, which makes him dangerous. But if you give us information, real information about his operations, his plans, his vulnerabilities, then he becomes predictable. Then we can contain him. He told me about the relocation, I admit quietly. His plan to move everything 3 states over. I know he did, she says. We've known for a week. We have someone closer to him than you are, Sienna. Someone he trusts absolutely. Someone who's been feeding us information since before you arrived. The words hit me like a physical blow. Ooh, I whisper. Alina, Marcella says softly. His household manager for 12 years. The closest thing he has to family besides you. She came to us because she loves him too, but she understands that this war will only end when Dominic understands that his empire is unsustainable. That he's human and humans can't win against organizations with unlimited resources. I hang up without responding. I feel sick. I feel betrayed on Dominic's behalf, even though I'm the one making deals with the enemy. I find Eleanor in the kitchen, preparing tea the way she does every evening. She looks up at me with kind eyes, and I see it now, the careful way she watches him, the kind of love that wants to break someone's pride for their own good. You were working with the Russos, I say. She sets down her cup carefully. Yes. How long? Long enough to understand that Dominic will destroy himself and everyone around him before he admits he's losing. I thought that if the Russos pressed hard enough, he would finally make a deal with them. The war would end. He would survive, diminished but alive. He's going to the pier tomorrow night to die. I say, because you've made him realize he can't protect anyone. He's going to survive, Eleanor corrects. Because you told him about Marcella and now he understands the game. And what Dominic understands, he can strategize. The question is, can you? Before I can respond, every monitor in the security office flashes with red warnings. Alarms sound throughout the compound. Eleanor moves past me with the grace of someone who's been expecting this all along. In the main security office, Victor is coordinating what sounds like a full-scale military operation. Dominic appears minutes later, already in tactical gear, and his eyes find me immediately. We've been hit, he says, and his voice is the voice of a general commanding troops. 3 warehouses. Simultaneously, Russo is making his move early. It's Eleanor, I say. She's been, I know. He cuts me off. She's been working for them for months, which means they don't know that I know, which means I can use that. He pulls me aside into a corridor, and the intensity of his focus is like being pinned by searchlights. The meeting tomorrow is a trap, he says. They're going to try to take me alive. But I'm going to walk in there knowing exactly what they want, and I'm going to give them something better than my death or my capture. I'm going to give them a reason to end this. How? By showing them that this war costs them more than it costs me. By demonstrating that no matter how many hits they land, I'm still standing. And by giving Eleanor exactly what she wants, a Dominic who's been humbled enough to negotiate. I'm not gonna like this, am I? I ask. No, he agrees. Because it requires you to trust me completely. To do exactly what I tell you when I tell you. Can you do that? I think about the photographs Marcella showed me. I think about Eleanor's careful kindness hiding decades of betrayal. I think about the war that's been grinding away at everyone I care about. Yes, I say. He kisses me hard, tasting of adrenaline and something like goodbye. Then we start now. He pulls me toward the armory, and for the next 12 hours, I stop being a guest or a prisoner or even a lover. I become a soldier in a war I never asked to fight. He teaches me the extraction protocol. He shows me safe houses and emergency exits. He briefs me on people he trusts absolutely. A handful. Fewer than I would have expected. By the time midnight approaches, I understand this is love in his world. Not flowers or words or promises. It's contingency planning. It's making sure that if everything falls apart, I have a way to survive. At 11:47 p.m. Dominic dresses in a suit that probably costs more than my entire salary, and he looks like a man prepared for anything except mercy. Stay here, he tells me. Victor will keep you safe. When I call, you leave. You don't wait for me. You don't try to come back. You just go. And if you don't call, he cups my face in his hands. Then you survive. Because that's the one thing I need more than anything else in this world. Your survival. Then he's gone, walking toward a pier where his enemies are waiting, where Eleanor's betrayal has set a trap, where love and war have finally become the same thing. I watch from the security monitors as his car disappears into the night, and I pray to a god I haven't believed in since childhood. The pier is deserted except for 3 black cars positioned strategically along its length. Dominic walks toward the center with his hands visible, the picture of surrender, and everything in me screams that this is a mistake. The Russo family emerges from the cars like sharks sensing blood in the water. Marcella is with them, along with her father, a man in his 70s with the kind of eyes that have seen kingdoms rise and fall. There are soldiers, guns held casually at their sides, and Dominic walks into the middle of them alone. I got your message, Dominic says, his voice calm and easy like he's greeting an old friend. We're glad you decided to cooperate, Marcella's father says. His accent is Italian, old money, generations of violence. We've been hoping this would be resolved without further bloodshed. I've been thinking the same thing, Dominic says. In fact, I have a proposal. The moment he says it, I see something shift in the monitors, Victor's team moving into position around the perimeter. Not attacking, just watching. I'll step down, Dominic continues. Effective immediately, I'll transfer all my assets to the Russo family. The warehouses, the distribution networks, the financial accounts. All of it, free and clear. In exchange, you spare my people. You spare the woman I love, and you let me disappear. Silence falls across the pier like a sword. Marcella's father laughs. You think we'd let you live, after everything? I think you'll let me live, because you're going to understand that killing me creates problems you don't want to solve. I think Eleanor has told you everything you think you need to know, but she's missed one crucial detail. What's that? Marcella asks, and I hear the uncertainty in her voice. That I've been keeping an insurance policy since before Eleanor ever approached you. That there are files with every transaction, every conversation, every murder I've commissioned, all of it detailed and dated and ready to be distributed to federal agents the moment my heart stops beating or you signal me in any way that you're planning to hurt me or anyone I care about. It's a bluff, it has to be. But the way Dominic delivers it, with absolute conviction, makes me almost believe it. You're bluffing, Marcella's father says, but there's doubt in his voice. Call me on it, Dominic challenges. Pull the trigger, find out if I'm lying. But understand that you'll be taking down the entire Russo family when you do. That every cop in this city will suddenly have evidence they need. That the FBI will be knocking on your door by Tuesday. The confrontation hangs suspended. A moment where the world could go either direction. And then Eleanor steps out of one of the cars and I understand, she's been here the entire time. She's been part of this negotiation all along. He's telling the truth, she says quietly. There are files. I know about them because I helped organize them. For the last year, he's been creating an insurance policy against exactly this scenario. Marcella's father looks at his daughter, and some silent communication passes between them. Stand down, he says to his men. Then to Dominic, you have 48 hours to transfer everything. After that, we don't care where you go. Dominic nods, and he turns to walk back toward his car. And I think we might actually survive this. That's when one of the soldiers, young, stupid, probably looking to prove something, raises his weapon. Everything happens in the space between heartbeats. Victor's team opens fire. The soldier goes down. Chaos erupts across the pier as weapons are drawn and the fragile negotiation shatters into violence. Dominic moves with stunning speed, taking cover behind one of the cars, and suddenly he's not a businessman negotiating his exit. He's a warrior fighting for his life. The firefight lasts less than 2 minutes, but it feels eternal. Bodies fall. Blood spreads across the concrete like spilled wine. Dominic takes a bullet in the shoulder and barely seems to notice, returning fire with lethal precision until the remaining soldiers are either dead or surrendering. Marcella is screaming at her father that they need to leave. Eleanor stands unmoved, watching Dominic like she's trying to burn the image into her memory. And Dominic, bleeding and exhausted, walks toward Marcella's father one final time. "The offer stands," he says. 48 hours. "After that I keep everything. And we go to war the way we should have from the beginning." He doesn't wait for a response. He moves to his car, and Victor is already pulling up to extract him. When they reach the compound, he's barely coherent from blood loss. The clinic inside the mansion, hidden behind a locked door in the basement, is a surgical theater. Dr. Mercer, a man with the kind of calm that comes from patching up criminals for 3 decades, prepares the operating room while I hold Dominic's hand. "The bullet is clean," he says. "Missed everything important. He'll live, but he's gonna need a week of recovery. No stress, no sudden movements." I watch them operate, watch them stitch him back together, and I understand that I'm watching the cost of love. This is what it looks like when you care about someone in Dominic's world. It's blood and hospitals and the constant knowledge that death is just a choice away. When it's over and Dominic is sleeping off the anesthesia, I find Eleanor in the library. She's playing the Rachmaninoff softly, mournfully, the way a requiem should be played. "You saved him," I say. "I saved him from himself," she corrects. "The insurance policy is real. I helped him build it. Everything I did for the Russos was so that he would finally understand he wasn't invincible. That empire's fall. That love is the only thing worth protecting. He's going to ask you to leave. I know. And I will, because that's what love demands sometimes. But at least he'll survive to build something new." She stops playing and turns to face me. "Take care of him, Sienna. Not because he saved you, but because you make him human." By morning, the entire organization knows what happened at the pier. The whispers start immediately. Dominic is stepping down. He's disappearing. He's become weak. But no one makes a move against him, because everyone understands the real message. He stepped down on his terms after demonstrating that war would be far more expensive than the price of his exit. By midnight, the transfers of his assets begin. Recovery is a slow and painful process. Dominic spends 3 days in the clinic, attached to machines that monitor his heart and breathing. On the 4th day, he insists on moving to the bedroom, and I camp there full time, watching him sleep and wake and fight the pain like it's a personal enemy. Eleanor is gone by the 2nd day. She leaves a letter that Dominic tears up without reading, though his hands shake as he does it. She's been with him since before I existed, and her betrayal is the kind that lingers, not because of what she did, but because of why she did it. By day 7, Dominic can stand. By day 10, he can walk. By day 14, he's back to something resembling his normal self, though the shoulder still gives him pain that he medicates with expensive whiskey and dark silences. The mansion feels different now, empty. The constant stream of business, the men coming and going, the phones ringing at all hours, it's all gone. Without his empire, without the machinery of organized crime humming around him, the house becomes just a house. Beautiful but hollow. "I need to show you something," he tells me one afternoon. He takes me to the study and opens the safe hidden behind the monet. Inside are documents, legal paperwork, deed transfers, account numbers. "Everything necessary to disappear. It's yours," he says. "All of it. 3 million in clean accounts, documents for 5 different identities, property in countries without extradition treaties with the US. You can leave whenever you want. You won't be followed. You won't be touched." I stare at the documents. "Are you asking me to go?" "No," he says, and his voice is rougher than usual. "But you deserve the option. You deserve to understand that I'm not keeping you captive anymore. You're free." "I don't want to be free," I say. "I want to be with you." He turns away from me, toward the window, and his shoulders are rigid with tension. "You don't understand what you're choosing. I'm not rebuilding the empire. I'm going away. Probably to Argentina or Mexico or somewhere equally remote and equally difficult. And I'm going alone unless you come with me. But if you come with me, you're walking away from this entire world. From safety, from stability, from everything you thought you wanted. I thought I wanted a normal life," I say, "until I realized that normal was actually just boring and safe and utterly pointless. You made everything meaningful. Even the danger felt like it mattered." He finally looks at me, and his eyes are raw with something like desperation. "I can't give you the things you deserve. I can't give you children or a normal career or a life where you're not constantly looking over your shoulder. I don't want those things," I say. "I want you. Broken, scarred, human you. Not the Empire version, just the man who plays piano and loves fiercely and would burn the world down for the people he cares about." He pulls me close, and for the first time since the pier, I feel the tension in him ease. It's not acceptance exactly, it's something more fragile, more precious. It's hope. When do we leave? I ask. 3 days. The lawyer is finalizing everything, and then we become ghosts. The next 72 hours are surreal. I go back to my apartment to collect things that suddenly feel absurd in their ordinariness. Photos from high school, textbooks I never finished, a collection of concert tickets from musicians who were famous last decade. I realize in packing these items that my entire previous life has become a story other people tell about me. I quit my job with a vague message about family obligations. My mother calls in a panic, and I tell her I'm okay but don't know when I'll be able to contact her again. She thinks I'm having a breakdown. In a way, I am a breakdown of the person I was, a transformation into someone I never expected to become. The night before we leave, Dominic takes me to the pier where he nearly died. It's different in darkness, stripped of the violence and politics. It's just a place where water meets land, where the city lights reflect like fallen stars. I want you to understand something, he says, taking my hand. What happened here, what I did for you, what we've become to each other, none of that was destiny or fate. It was choice. Your choice to write that note, my choice to answer it. My choice to fall in love with you despite understanding it would complicate everything. I know. I say. And you're choosing to stay even though you understand the consequences. I'm choosing to stay because the consequences are the point. They're what make this real. He kisses me there on the pier, with the city watching, with the ghosts of the violence we survived hovering in the shadows. It tastes like goodbye and hello simultaneously. The next morning, we leave in a nondescript set-in with new passports and enough cash to establish ourselves wherever we decide to land. The mansion stays behind, sold to a shell company that will eventually be absorbed into the legitimate business world. As we drive away, I look back once. I see Eleanor watching from the gate, tears streaming down her face. I see Victor giving a small nod of respect. I see the life I had before dissolving into the rearview mirror like everything else we're leaving behind. Are you scared? Dominic asks as he accelerates onto the highway. Terrified, I admit. And completely at peace. He laughs, the real laugh, not the controlled one, the one that sounds like the boy he used to be. We're really doing this. We're actually disappearing. We're doing it. I confirm. The highway stretches ahead of us, endless and dark and full of possibility. 6 months later, we're in a small village on the coast of Argentina, where the Atlantic Ocean crashes against cliffs and the people mind their business with the careful discretion of those who understand that tourists have histories they don't discuss. The house we've rented is modest by Dominic's standards. 3 bedrooms, a kitchen that's actually used for cooking, a balcony where we watch sunsets melt into the ocean like blood into water. There's no security team, no weapons, no machines designed for violence. There's just us. Dominic works in a small bookstore in town. It's ironic that the man who built an empire now sells used novels to tourists and locals alike. But he loves it in a way that surprises us both. There's a purity to it. Books are honest in a way that crime never is. They don't pretend to be anything other than what they are. I'm writing. It started as a way to process everything that happened, but it's become something more. I'm writing Dominic's story. Not the crime empire version, but the human version. The boy who wanted to be a pianist. The man who made impossible choices. The criminal who became something better because someone forced him to see his own capacity for love. You're writing about me again, he says one afternoon, finding me on the balcony with my laptop. Always. I confirm. I think I'll be writing about you for the rest of my life. He settles into the chair beside me and takes my hand. There's a scar on his shoulder now, a permanent reminder of the pier, of the choice he made to step down instead of escalate. It's become my favorite part of him, this visible proof of survival. Do you regret it? He asks, coming here, leaving everything. Never, I say, and I mean it with every fiber of my being. Do you? I regret what I did in my old life, he says carefully. The people I hurt, the blood I spilled, the empire I built on the suffering of others. But I don't regret anything that led to you. I don't regret loving you enough to walk away from everything. A letter arrives the next day, forwarded through channels that are no longer relevant to our life. It's from Marcella Russo, and Dominic stares at the envelope for a long moment before opening it. Dominic, the Russo family sends their regards and their acknowledgement of the life you've built away from us. Your insurance policy has proven to be one of the most valuable assets we've acquired. With the information you left us, we've consolidated power more effectively than we ever could have otherwise. You've made us stronger, and for that, we're grateful. We have no interest in finding you or the woman who convinced you to give it all up. You've earned your peace. However, you should know that there's a new generation rising in the families. Men who don't remember your power firsthand, who see only your retreat. There will come a time when one of them tests the boundaries you've set. When that happens, know that we will protect your interests, not out of sentiment, but because maintaining the status quo is more valuable than chaos. Live well. You've earned it. Marcella. Dominic burns the letter, and we don't discuss it. But something shifts in his shoulders, and I understand the past will always exist in shadow, waiting for the moment it can reach forward and complicate the present. That evening, I find him at the old piano we managed to transport from the mansion. It's smaller than the one he had before, but it still produces sounds that feel like memory made audible. He plays Rachmaninoff, the same piece from that first night in his library, but different now. Lighter somehow, despite the tragic undertones. There's hope woven through the darkness. I sit and listen, and I understand that this is my life now. This is what we've built in the space between who we were and who we're becoming. When he finishes, he turns to face me, and in his eyes, I see the man he was, the man he became, and the man he's choosing to be. Marry me. He says, it's not a question. Yes, I answer. 1,000 times yes. He pulls me to him and we kiss with the kind of intensity that only comes when you've survived the impossible together. When you've looked into the abyss and chosen love anyway. The next morning we go to the village registrar and file paperwork under names that aren't technically ours. It's perfect for us, false names for a relationship that's more real than anything either of us has ever experienced. We marry on the beach at sunset, with only a local couple as witnesses. There are no flowers, no elaborate ceremony, no white dress or carefully chosen words. There's just us, our vows spoken in voices that carry the weight of survival, and the ocean as our witness. That night, in our simple house with the sound of waves crashing in the distance, Dominic makes love to me with a tenderness that brings tears to my eyes. It's different from the passion of before, different from the desperation of those months in the mansion. It's love rendered in its purest form, two people choosing each other, over and over, for no reason except that they want to. In the darkness afterward, as he sleeps beside me, I think about the girl from Vespertine. I think about the note I slipped to a man whose name I didn't know. I think about how a single moment of compassion spiraled into a love story written in blood and danger, and ultimately, redemption. I think about how the most dangerous thing we can do is fall in love with someone who terrifies us, how the greatest act of courage is choosing to stay. The future is uncertain, it always is. The Russo's letter proved that the past isn't really past, it's just waiting, patient as a predator, for the moment to re-enter our lives. But standing on this precipice between our old lives and our new one, I'm not afraid anymore, because I understand now that love, real love, is the only revolution that matters. It's the only weapon strong enough to transform a criminal into a human being. It's the only force that can redeem the unredeemable. Dominic stirs in his sleep, his hand finding mine in the darkness. Even unconscious, he's seeking connection. Even in sleep, he's reaching for me. I hold on and understand that this is forever. Not the forever of fairy tales, which is safe and predictable and ultimately false. But the forever of two damaged people choosing to mend each other, day after day, moment after moment. The crimson debt we owed each other, his life for mine, his soul for my redemption, has been paid in full. And in the aftermath of violence and surrender, we've found something beautiful. We've found home.